Namaste to all students. Kushro Bhatia, myself JVN Dr. Khushbu Verma from Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Science. Today we are going to discuss about session micro injection. This session is related to recombinant DNA technology of program BTech FBT 4SEM. So first of all, what is microinjection and why we use the microinjection? So microinjection is a physical method in the gene cloning, and this process is used for the gene transfer method, and this is very important technique of physical method during the molecular cloning. It is defined simply as a technique to efficiently and stably introduce foreign genes into the genome of target cells. These methods are also classified into two groups. First one is the direct method, second one is the agrobacterium mediated gene transfer method. Direct gene transfer release the delivery of large amount of DNA while the plant is transiently permeabilized by the particle bombardment, electroporation, ultrasound, etc. It is mostly used for gene transfer in cereal crops. For example, monocotyledons and dicotyledons crops. Agrobacterium mediated gene transfer are based on utilizing Agrobacterium, a pathogen of dicotyledons plants that transfer genes into the plant genome. If we talk about the physical methods, we can use a microinjection, pressure or bioelastics, gene gun or particle bombardment method, electroporation method, silica carbon fibers, and laser method, mediated method we can use. In the case of chemical methods, we can use PEG mediated gene transfer method, calcium phosphate, artificial lipids, proteins, and dendrimers methods can be used in a chemical method, and physical and chemical methods both are involved as a direct method. But in case of a biological method, it can be mediated by agrobacterium tumefaciens, agrobacterium rhizogenes, and virus mediates. These are indirect methods for the gene transfer method, and this is known as biological method because a biological uh, component is involved in this method. In case of a microinjection, DNA microinjection was first proposed by the Dr. Marshall A. Barber in the early of the 19th century. This method is widely used for gene transfection in mammals. It involves delivery of foreign DNA into a living cell, for example, a cell, egg, oocyte, embryos of animals, through a fine glass micropipette. The introduced DNA may lead to the over or under expression of certain gene. It is used to identify the characteristic function of the dominant genes. The delivery of foreign DNA is done under a powerful microscope using a glass micropipette tip of 0.5 millimeter diameter. Cells to be micro-injected are placed in a container. A holding pipette is placed in the field of view of the microscope that sucks and holds a target cells at the tip. The tip of micropipette is injected through the membrane of the cell to deliver the contents of the needle into cytoplasm, and then empty needle is taken out. You can understand this method by this diagrammatic representation. Here you can simply see this is microinjection micropipette containing the foreign DNA molecule. This is nucleus and this is complete cell. It has been holded by the holding pipette, and that's how when micropipette inject the foreign DNA into the cell and basically into the nucleus directly. So this is how microinjection method works. What are the advantages of microinjection? So there is no requirement of a marker gene, introduction of the target gene directly into a single cell, easy identification of transformed cells upon injection of the dye along with the DNA, no requirement of the selection of the transformed cell using antibiotic resistance or herbicide resistant marker. It can be used for creating transgenic organisms, particularly mammals. Disadvantage is this process procedure is very time consuming and only a number of cells can be treated. This technique provides direct nuclear delivery of the DNA, avoiding the endogenous pathway, and also ensures that DNA is delivered intact. Microinjection is suitable for the introduction of the large vectors such as YAC into pronuclei of fertilized mouse eggs. DNA delivered in this manner must be very pure, so it needs a lot of preparation as it is necessary to avoid fragmentation. Sharing can also occur in the delivery needle, and large DNA fragments are also often protected by the suspension in a high salt buffer and or mixing with polyamines and other protective agents. Now transfection of the cultured cell is automated with computer controlled micro manipulation and micro injection process, as well as the automated production of the injection capillaries and standardization of the cell preparation procedure. So this is how micro preparation, micro propagation and micro injection method. Micro injection method is very much important in the direct DNA transfer method, because it is very by this method DNA can be transferred into the nucleus direct by the micropipette. But this is very delicate method. It can be transferred only by the delicate persons, and it is very time consuming method. That these all my points are very like disadvantages for the micro injection method. If we talk about the second type of a gene transfer method, which is also a physical method, which is electroporation. What do you understand by the electroporation? So, introduction of DNA into plant cells by exposing them for very brief period into high voltage electric pulses, which induces transient spore in the plasma lemma, is called electroporation. Means in the electroporation, we will use the high voltage electric pulse, and by giving these electric pulse to the cell on a constant manner, it will create the large transient pores in the plasma membrane. That's how foreign DNA will can be taken up into the cell. So there are two types of the system which are involved in the electroporation method. First one is a low voltage and long pulse method, means 300 to 400 voltage per centimeter for 10 to 15 milliseconds only we can give. Means we can give 10 to 15 milliseconds for low voltage. On the other hand, we can use high voltage but for the short pulse method. Means if we are using 1000 to 1500 voltage, so we can give it only for 10 microseconds. If we talk about the comparison in between these two methods, so high voltage and short pulse method is more stable in comparison to low voltage and long pulse method. Transformation frequency, if we talk about the electroporation, so transformation frequency are increased several folds by a heat shock method, heat shock to the protoplast just prior to the electroporation. Here in this case of the electroporation, we will use the protoplast on the places of normal cell. What is the basic difference in between the protoplast and the normal cell? So protoplast is not having a cell wall, and without cell wall, plant cell is known as protoplast. On the other hand, normal cell will have cell wall as well. So in the heat shock method, we can we can increase the transformation frequency by heat shock method just prior to the electroporation. Means if we are whatever the method, low method or high voltage method, whatever the method we are using, if we are giving 5 minutes prior uh, a heat shock approximately at the 45-degree temperature, it will help to increase the transformation frequency. Second method we can use for the transformation frequency increment. So the presence of the low concentration of the PEG 8% during the electroporation. Means whenever you are whenever we are doing the electroporation method, we will use PEG 8% in the whole process. So it will help to increase the transformation frequency. You can understand this electroporation method by this diagrammatic representation. See, these are the cultured cells which are not having gene of interest, and on the other hand, we are having this vector which is having gene of interest. These are the selectable marker. When we mix culture cells with the uh, cloning vector, so mix cells and the DNA in a special cuvette. We will do that, and we give the voltage treatment and apply the voltage. Now cell taken up DNA through the holes into the membrane, because this electroporation create the large pores into the cell membrane. Now we are using the protoplast cells. Okay, so after the creating the pores, these foreign DNA molecules or this vector can be introduced into the cell, and further this vector will integrate into the nucleus. So how we can select that electroporation have done its work or not, means cells have become the recombinant or not, how you will select. So there are two methods for the there are like apply selection method can be done, like if cells are completely giving the stable expressions, means whatever the gene of interest have been introduced, if it is going to express continuously stay in the stable manner, so we can select those cells. If there is no any kind of a expression of any cell, so we will not select that cell, because that cell will not be recombinant. So that's how we can use the electroporation method for gene transfer method. And what are the advantages of the electroporation method? So some plants are PEG sensitive. So electroporation may be of choice. Method is fast and less costly, and high percentage of the stable transformants can be produced. So these are the advantages of the electroporation method. If we talk about the application, so it has been used to produce stably transformed cell lines and plants of several species like tobacco, maize, rice, wheat, etc. In tobacco, frequency is as high as 2 to 8% in presence of 7% PEG. So these are the methods of these are the key points of the electroporation method. So here again I am explaining the what is the basic difference in between the microinjection and electroporation. Both are physical methods of molecular cloning for the gene transformation method. But in case of a microinjection, we use on the only the microinjection pipette for the direct injection of the foreign DNA into the cell nucleus. And on the other hand, in the electroporation method, we can use the voltage with the long or short pulse method. And in this method, in the electroporation method, we use the voltage electric pulses which creates the transient force into the plasma membrane, by which foreign DNA can be entered and can be introduced into the cell, and then can incorporate further into the nucleus. So this is the basic concept behind the microinjection method and the electroporation method. And if we talk about the what are the key points and what are the key questions which can be asked in the examination, competitive examination. So first of all, which method is more stable? High voltage and short pulse method is important, more stable, or low voltage and long pulse method is more stable? So you have to give answer that high voltage and short pulse method is more important and more stable. And how you can increase the transformation frequency by two methods? So you have to give answer that a heat shock can be given to the protoplast just prior to the electroporation only for the 5 minutes and at the 45-degree temperature. Second method you can use for the increment of the transformation process, you can use the PEG, approximate 8% concentration during the whole process of the electroporation. And one more thing, in the case of electroporation method, you have to use protoplast cell, not normal cell, because plant cells are having only cell wall. But in case of a protoplast cells, where we protoplast plant cells will have only plant cell membrane, they will lack the cell wall. That's why it will become more easier to transform the genetic material into the plant cell by using electroporation method. So these are the key points of this session which are important for the competitive exams. And if you have any query, then you can mention in the comment box. And now this is sum up of this session, and this session is powered by digital version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. Thank you.